Hey, good to have you here. We are talking about the box model and styling and this today, and this is going to be such an incredibly enlightening video. Hopefully, it's really going to up our styling game, and it's really quite simple. Really, every element on the page basically can be thought of like this in terms of the content. So you can think of like this guy who's like a P right here, or like everything that's in here, and you have the content. You have the padding, which is defined as the difference. So we looked at this before, like the difference between the content and the border. Like if you want to push a little bit of space, like you could look right here, there's a bit of space between the words and the outside of this card. That's considered padding. And then we have border, which is, of course, like I think we all know, like the border around something. And then the margin is how far something is from the border to the next object. So if there was, I'm looking, is there some space? We'll look at it here in a second anyway. It's the space between your border and something else. So if you wanted to push some space between, let's say like this paragraph and like this, we would want to increase the margin, which is the difference between those two. And we're going to take, that's just a quick overview. We're going to play with that and get into that right here. So first, straight off the bat, fork this blank sandbox and call it box model. I got mine right here. And we're going to get right into it. So, talking through, of course, our initial lines and setup here. Exclamation point, we need our document declaration, document type declaration here. Hey, browser, this is an HTML file you're about to get, and the HTML is contained inside of the HTML tag. We got our language in there, and of course we got closer here, and then inside the HTML we're going to have our header, yup, and we're going to have our body, yes, and inside the head, where we going to put here, yeah, we'll have a link for our style sheet, of course, which will be located inside the CSS file called styles.css, and we'll also declare just a style sheet. Very good. And of course, all in quotation marks. We type here, which is text CSS media. All why is this here? Okay, and title, yo, and we'll call it the box model. Great. Oh, I forgot that forward slash. You definitely do that sometimes. All right, great. And so, wonderful. Here is the actual content that we want to appear in the body, and we just set this up to have, all right, so let's have a paragraph just to look at, and this is to look at the box model. Okay, let's save that, take a look at it, boom, we should all probably predict what that looks like. Let's hit refresh, this is saved, great. All right, this is a look at the box model, and I think even better example is to look at this actually as a pop-out. All right, excellent. And actually, let's add a couple things before this. We'll add another P, and this will be like the before and the after. Just so we can tell how some of the spacing is going to work. All right, great. So looking at this, rad. And so let's talk about the different things I mean in terms of the box model. So you can pick any of these, and let's give it a class, and we'll call this the class element. All right, now We're going to, of course, need a new folder here, and that's our CSS folder, and inside there we need a file that we're going to call styles.css. Okay. Yes to all, and we're going to, let's see here, boom. So we called this class elements. So to signify class, we put a decimal, and then we put elements. Very good. Our brackets. And just to test this out, let's say color red. Okay, just to see if we're connected here. I save it, boom, and it is in fact making that red, so we are connected. All right, so now to inspect the different portions of this p tag, this element in terms of the box. So our background color, I'm gonna do background color, which is something I use all the time. Background color, save it. All right. Right here, that is your element. We'll look at like here. This is, in fact, the content portion of your box model. Yeah, this is the actual content. Now, if we wanted a border around that, that's the next one that'll like help us understand here. So if we got the border, and we'll make the border let's make it nice and wide, 4 pixels. Solid, SOLID, solid black. Save it. Boom. All right, there we go. Let's look at it here. So notice that the words, the content comes right up against the border here. Yes, absolutely. In other words, so we have 2 portions going on here. We have our content and we have our border. If that looks ugly to you, and it does to me, because hey, you know, you really, well, for a lot of reasons, but you really want some space in between your content and the border, what you want to add is some padding. That's the next portion of the box model, thinking of elements as boxes. So to give it a little space, we're going to add some padding, and we can do that in pixels as well. So we'll go padding, let's give it 5 pixels. Save. All right, now that's looking a little bit better, huh? It gives it a little bit of room, a lot easier to read. It's usually good to give some padding here. All right, now the next and last portion of the box model in terms of understanding the 1, 2, 3, 4 portions of any element, thinking about it stylistically as a box in the box schema, is the margin. So what we mean by that is the distance between this guy, the border, and your next element. So if we wanted more room in between the before and let's say that we just wanted more room on all sides, the left, the right, the top, and the bottom, you can go like this. Just increase margin on all sides, and we'll say margin of, I don't know, 20 pixels. Save it. Boom. And it didn't seem to improve the top and bottom very much. It already had a pretty big amount, so let's increase it to 100 just to make our point here, and save that. That's a little bit too much making our point. Let's go 50 pixels. There we go. Okay, so notice that we are now increasing the distance up and down, as well as on the left and right. So that's increasing, of course, the margin. That's how far everything has to be away from your board. It's like your force field or whatever. So those are the 4 major portions of the box model. Let's see if anything else here is covered in the what else do they talk about here? Width and height. Sure. Of course, and there are different units. We were using pixels. You can talk about things in terms of percentages, and in percentage, it's talking about the percentage of the thing's parent container. And so right now, it would be the percentage of the whole thing. So if we went padding 5%, then that would be a padding of 20% on all sides. That's going to be pretty, yeah, there we go. And so this would be, yeah, this is like 20%, and so on. And so you can also do in terms of REM, which please look into that more in the future if you'd like, but that's a relational kind of unit. All right, so fantastic. And the last thing that I believe is covered here, oh yes, in terms of width and height, yeah. So you can determine things about the size of the box of any element in terms of the thing's width, width, and we can say like, I don't know, 300 pixels, save it, boom. Doesn't seem to change it much there, but we'll see it change quite a bit here. And we can also, of course, set the height in the same way and give that something like 300 pixels. Save it, boom, and now we're looking at what should be a square. Well, last thing I guess I'll show you, because I really like it and use it all the time. A lot of times hard angles, hard corners are not great aesthetically speaking. So what you can do, speaking of which, can I change this to orange? This is kind of like bothering me. And nicer. And is border radius. So that like rounds the corners, and giving a border radius is really nice a lot of the times to just like give it in terms of pixels. 5 pixels is often what I go with, and it just gives that nice little rounded corner so that things are a bit soft. It's a little bit like it's nice flare, nice touch if you're into that kind of thing. All right, cool. That's everything I wanted to talk about in terms of the box model. Happy coding.